I just want to start by explain what I'm going to talk about. There's 3 projects that we did. The first one is around core networking, and that's how we sort of applied a different model for access control in Orion Health because of the uniqueness of the users that we have there. Secondly, I'm going to talk about self-diagnosis. So we took self-service and we made it more of a self-diagnosis type approach. And then lastly, some information security, which is my pretty much bread and butter. Just before we start, can I ask you a quick question? Who has users with a lot of access in their systems? Anyone? Okay, who has users who want more access in their systems? Okay, and who is going to give them more access? Oh, good. Because that's exactly the sort of thing where this was born from. I had sort of hundreds of developers, which, I love developers. They're really, really cool, and they wear jeans and T-shirts and eat a lot of pizza. But they are pretty shocking when it comes to knowing what to do with security, and they're shockingly bad at following processes. So we created this core networking idea, which was, I'm taking the toys away from you, basically. We took away all the applications like the finance application, the CRM, all of these applications, and we pulled them away from them. And we said you can't use them unless you come through this security process. And we created this core network, or this nucleus, which actually more than halved our spend on security, because previously it was such a wide-angled view of security. It was the entire network. But then what we did is we made it very small and just onto these core networking parts. This allowed everyone in the networking world, or sorry, the development world, and to actually download what they wanted. Download SDKs, it's fine. But if you want to come into the core network, you had to pass through this firewall, which did a security check using an endpoint solution on the machine, which then enabled them to get in. Now, the next step, which Orion is on at the moment, is to take that and automate it further. So if the users download a malicious toolbar or a malicious piece of software, it will automatically check that download and tell them you have downloaded a piece of dodgy software. And it won't delete it from them because that's limiting innovation, and that's not what we're about. It will actually email them in 2 or 3 weeks' time and say, is your performance affected? If it is, perhaps you should review this particular malware that you downloaded. It's only, and it's all about education. It's all about teaching the user and teaching them about the idea that you can have freedom, but there is this thing about control which we need. Next one is self-service versus self-diagnosis. So this started because everyone hated me. The tickets were going through the roof because we were expanding that fast. We went from about 600 users to 1,200 users over a very short amount of time. And what happened is that everyone was complaining about IT performance, about network performance, about application performance, and even if it was raining, it was my fault. And I tried to think of a way by which we can solution this problem, because my motivation was in the toilet, but more to the point is the view of IT was in the toilet as well. So we looked at all of the tickets, the outstanding tickets, and weirdly we couldn't find any which said thank you. I managed to send every email today, or I couldn't find any that said thank you. I managed to get onto my Facebook account today. Thank you. But what I did find is huge amounts of very low-level tickets that we were just unable to get to because we didn't have any formal SLAs. Because when you're growing that fast, SLAs kind of go out the window. We didn't have any of the metric software you have on tickets today in Orion Health because it was still quite a small, still a developing organization. But what we did have is we had complaints, and complaints are good, because you can do stuff about complaints. So we created this self-service website, just like you've all got, list of procedures, listed out processes and contacts and all of the usual kind of stuff. And then we sort of sent it out to the user group and asked them how it was received. Now, it wasn't received very well because it was very static. So we went back to the drawing board. We took it away, we ripped it apart again, and we looked at the tickets again. And we said, well, the tickets are around poor performance of the network and poor performance of the applications, and I know for a fact that they are not performing badly. So I'm going to show you all the metric dashboards. So I published all of the network connectivity around the place, all of the office-to-office communications, everything was, and everyone can interrogate these things as well. So they could see the network wasn't a problem. So if it wasn't the network, it's them damn applications, it's still IT's fault. So we published all the IT statistics as well. And what we found is that everyone started reading through these statistics and started saying, well, it's not the network's fine. It's not the application's fine. I've done something to my laptop. And that's what it was. People were affecting their own laptops because they had user administrative privileges. And what we didn't foresee is that people started talking about problems together and said, how can I fix this problem? Can you help me with this problem? And our low-level tickets, like P3s, P4s, they were sort of massively reduced, and people started talking a lot more about sorting out their problems. So they started to diagnose themselves, and they started to understand that they had done something to their machine, which they can still have access, I don't mind. But if you muck it up, if you do something, then you need to find out what your problem is. And we ended up growing, as I say, up to 12,500 people, and the IT team only grew a small fraction of that, saving cost as well. And the last one, information security. Where did we start with information security? We started with pockets of brilliance. I can only say they were brilliant because there's some very, very clever people at Orion Health, but also developers tend to have a social issue. They don't like talking to anybody, so you have to really nut out what these nuggets of people and try and join them together. They were very good in isolation of securing development. They were not very good at communicating how secure they were. They were not very good at transparency, all of these lovely words which we hear. So we created this portal, which I'm also speaking tomorrow, which you'll see the in-depth slides tomorrow if you want to come to that session. But that portal was completely transparent about all security requirements. So if you as a project manager wanted to be secure, you went to the website and you were trained that you needed to see your non-functional requirements. Here's a process to ask for help. It was all there for you to go to. If you were, because no one actually wakes up in the morning. Well, not many people wake up and think, I want to break the law today, or I want to do something really insecure today. It's not inherently what people want to do. It's just it is because we don't give them the tools that they need. So this portal was very, very interactive. It asked if you wanted information from the security team. Here it is. This is what you can have. And also how to contact us. And we built on this, lots of procedures, lots of how to handle sensitive information and how to classify information. And what we found is that everyone started classifying their own information. So when they wanted to use a collaborative software like Trello or any of the other third-party software, which everyone's doing it. You all know this. They're using these cloud-based services. So train them to identify the classification of the information, and then you'll train them to be more secure. So that's what we did with the information security. So that's just a very quick lightning run through the 3 projects.